Hello and welcome to the Habicast, Habitat Pinellas and West Pasco's podcast and web series highlighting our mission, our partners, and our homeowners in the community. I'm your co-host, Morgan, and I'm here with our co-host, Mike. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good. I'm having issues over here with this microphone, but I'm good. It's moving on me, but
it's fine.
How you doing?
I'm great.
It's been a while since we've done one of these.
I know.
Mainly because I know last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the USF special, and, but it feels like it's been a while, so it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Things going good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excited to get back into highlighting some partners, so we'll do a little interview with our great friends at MaintenX, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Brett, their CEO or president, their president is with us today.
Yeah.
And so MaintenX started working with us a number of years ago. I want to say it's probably been about 4 years now. They've built, they're building their sixth home, I believe it is, and just a phenomenal partner. And they go above and beyond when we build a home because they have skilled trades within their staff. So we're going to learn a little bit about who is MaintenX,
right? What
do
they
do, but then the culture that they've developed as a company that's grown significantly over the years,
right?
How they keep that family culture, and also get out into the community and do good work. And Habitat's just blessed to be one of the partners that they have.
Absolutely, yeah, and they do a really great job, like you said, of kind of connecting that family core value environment that they have with the homeowners that they partner with us, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited to kind of hear a little bit more about that and then what's to come. But speaking of partnership, so we have a new partnership that we highlighted last week, our last episode with your Bulls.
Yeah,
how
USF,
exciting is that?
Right? Well, we've been doing work with USF in some ways over the years. I mean, the USF Pinellas Alumni Association has done their Stampede of Service event every January with us for probably the last 7 or 8 years, and obviously not last year with COVID,
right?
But they've been very active with us. But as of late, just in the last couple of years, USF's gotten even more involved, and then we kind of tapped into the athletics over the last couple months. So we had the men's basketball team come out, and ironically, we had them paint a home. None of them had to get on a ladder.
Didn't even need the ladders.
At one point, when they had to do the cut-in, they got their 7'2" center to come over, and he just leaned up there and did it. It was perfect.
I'm pretty sure Osmond and our site supervisors were very excited about them.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot less safety issues or risk if you don't have people on ladders.
Right.
And so it worked out well. We just need them to come out and paint every home.
Yeah.
And then they had so much fun, and there was so much attention around it that the football team wanted in on it. And so Coach Jeff Scott brought his team out, and there's nothing more amazing than 3 massive chartered buses pulling up to the site.
In Teller Estates,
And 120 students and coaches getting off those buses.
Yeah.
But what a phenomenal day we had. I know we highlighted it on the Habicast, the last Habicast, but they came out and they spent 2 hours with us and probably got enough work done that would have taken us a number of days.
Yeah.
So they were working on about 7 different homes, all up and down the street in Teller Estates.
You could feel the energy buzzing all the way up and down the street. For sure.
It's interesting. I do want to mention one of the things that aggravates me in today's culture is how vocal people get on Twitter and that kind of thing. And so, a lot of people were critical of the USF football team coming out and swinging a hammer with Habitat when they should be playing football.
Right.
But it was a bye week.
Right.
And what's important to know is that during a bye week, athletes, collegiate athletes can only practice so much. And it's normal for college programs to give back in the community during their bye week. And so they picked Tuesday, and they even said next year, during their bye week, they want to come out and do it again.
We have the date. We're ready to go.
We're ready. So I actually commend the coaching staff and the athletic department for saying, hey, life is so much more than football, and let's expose these guys to doing good work out in the community, because 99.9% of collegiate athletes don't go on to the next level.
Right.
And so these guys need to know kind of what there is in life. What's exciting is now coming out of that is that the women's basketball team and Coach Jose Fernandez is actually bringing the women's basketball team out to work with us, and that's going to be awesome too. So who knows? I mean, we may just bring out the entire all sports. Have the golf team, the
Bring
tennis
them all
team,
out.
everybody out.
Let's do it.
But yeah, so but awesome partnership. So it's all about partnerships. That's what has made Habitat so successful.
Absolutely. And I think seeing those guys, especially if you watched the last episode, and if you didn't, check it out. Our team went around and asked my favorite question: what does home mean to you? Yeah. So hearing some of those responses, and there's a lot of home is where the heart is, which is great. We love hearing that. But having those guys really connect with the mission while they're out there with their teammates, it's that team building aspect that's a little different than being on the field, but it's still a team sport, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy to see, when you have the offense and defensive linemen together. I mean, there's some big guys. Man, there's some big guys. I played some football in high school, and I don't remember guys being that big. So it was pretty crazy. So, but anyway, that was awesome. So
that was pretty cool.
Let's bring Brett in. Let's talk to him a little bit. Again, our wonderful friends at MaintenX have been a phenomenal partner to ours. So we're going to bring in Brett Herman. He's the president of MaintenX, and we're going to have a conversation with Brett. Brett, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you coming in and talking to us a little bit about not only MaintenX, but how MaintenX is working with Habitat, and we're partners together. So thank you for being with us.
No, my pleasure. I look forward to having this discussion and learning more about the partnership between my company and you guys.
Awesome. Well, my first interaction with MaintenX was actually at a Phillies game. So I go to a lot of baseball spring training and stuff, and I was at a Phillies game, and you guys have some massive signage in the outfield, and I remember the signs popping. It was great logo and that kind of thing, and lots of colors. And I remember that was the first time I had ever seen MaintenX, and this was probably, 10, 15 years ago. But for those that, may not know about your company, tell us a little bit about MaintenX, who you guys are and what you do.
Yeah. So the company was started back in 1984 and primarily was doing local facility repairs, apartment complexes, local companies. And so one of the owners had a plumbing company and the other owner had an HVAC company. And what happened was they'd be out doing jobs and it was always about make the customer happy. That's what their mission was, and it still is today. And so they'd be like, man, can you do more than just plumbing? Yeah. And we're like, well, we can see. And so there was one job where the one owner was out doing the plumbing job, the other owner was out doing the HVAC job. And when they're outside, they just start talking. Yeah. And that's how kind of the partnership came together. Okay. And they said, well, if we can offer more services, we can get more opportunities. Yeah. Because our customers kept saying, man, you guys provide phenomenal service. Can we use it electrical, or can we use it in the handyman or general or whatever? And so that was kind of the formation of the company. And then a big opportunity came in probably 2005, where they were taking care of CVS down here in Florida. Okay. And at the time, CVS had, I think it was less than 15 locations.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so they were taking care of those. And they got a phone call from the regional facility manager and said, hey, I don't know if you guys saw, but we just bought Eckert's. And Eckert's was the big drugstore down there, pharmacy. And they said, we're going to have roughly 500 to 600 locations. Yeah. Can you guys take care of that? Sure, no problem.
Somehow.
And then they hung up and said, well, how are we going to figure this one out? Yeah. And so that kind of was a springboard into really phenomenal growth in the company. It was, threefold. And then from there, it went from Tampa Bay to the whole state of Florida. Mm-hmm. And then as opportunities came along with CVS and other large multi-site customers, started in like Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, Louisiana, and the Carolinas. And so that kind of how the companies really started growing. And then we brought on a VP of Business Development, Bill Shapiro, And Bill really kind of took the vision that the company had and said, okay, we're kind of focused here in the southeast. Let's take it across the country. And so that all of a sudden kind of blew up in a good way. Yeah. And that it went from the southeast to opportunities came along, and so the company made an acquisition of California, so we do business in Southern California, and then also Nevada. Okay. And so, and really, the numbers have grown. I've been with the company. I started about 7 years ago. Okay. And prior to that, I was their banker. I'd been the banker for 10 years. Okay. So I saw the growth firsthand, and great people, great niche business.
Yeah.
And so they approached me 7 years ago about coming on board. And at that time, the company was revenue in mid 20 million.
Okay.
And said, we've got a vision to really take this much bigger.
Sure.
But the great thing is, they're like, by some dumb luck, we've got this company to the size,
Yeah.
and we need help in getting it to the next level.
Right.
And so came on board, and the big thing that we talked about was when you grow, and it varies from company to company,
Yeah.
but you've got to start having policies and procedures.
Yeah.
I hate to say corporatizing,
Sure.
because it's a small business.
Mhm.
But as you grow and you start getting that volume, you
Yeah.
have to start putting some of these controls in. But they said, we understand, but at the end of the day, we got to make the customer happy.
Yeah.
We've got to, if we say we're going to be out at 8 o'clock, we're going to be there at 8 o'clock. We say what we do, and we do it with a smile on our face and make the customer happy. And if the customer's happy, they're going to give us more business.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
There's a lot of it's funny as you're saying all that, because there's a lot of similarity to kind of our growth here at Habitat
Yeah.
to that, because I think back to, I started here 7.5 years ago, around the same time you
Right.
started at MaintenX, and we went from a $5 million organization to over $25 million last year. And that's been steady growth over 7 years to get to that point. But same thing, we didn't have the policies and procedures or the infrastructure in place. We could build a heck of a home, right? We could do that all day. But what we didn't have in place was how to deal with certain things, or making sure we were providing equitable opportunities across the organization. And so really the last couple of years, that's what our focus has been around, is making sure that our organization is professionalized and to kind of use the term you used. So it's interesting to kind of hear you say that, because the whole time we were talking, I was like, oh wow, he was at Habitat too. Similar stories.
Yeah.
Similar stories.
and so now our revenue is over 70 million.
Wow.
And when I came on board, we had 125 employees.
Yeah.
We're approaching 350.
Wow.
And so when you go through that growth, you've got to have everything in place,
Yeah.
but you still want to have that culture
Sure.
of taking
Yeah.
care of the customer. So that's the one thing that hasn't changed at all.
Well, I think what's awesome about MaintenX is we know you guys as a charitable, partner of ours, and helping to build homes and stuff. But we also know you as a vendor, because you are our vendor on a number of our facilities, our restores. You guys go in and do a lot of the work for us, and it's been great to see that, because the customer service that you guys provide, we had been missing for years. And we would have partners that wouldn't show up for appointments and that kind of thing. And I remember shortly after the first home we built, Bill had said, well, you ever thought about using us as a vendor? And it was like, we didn't even think about that. But you guys provide such an awesome service. And so kudos to you and your team
Yeah, absolutely.
for continuing to stay focused on the customer while also doing that growth, because sometimes I think they don't necessarily
They don't always match up.
Yeah.
But that helps the sustainability. That's why you grew so much. I mean, without having that and formalizing those things, and that's similar to us too. We would not be where we are today if we hadn't done that and taken the time to do that. So it's crazy important. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I was fortunate being a banker for so many years,
Yeah.
dealing with companies all different sizes, from small mom and pops to publicly traded companies.
Right.
And so over my time as a banker for almost 25 years, you would see companies grow, but a lot of them would lose their identity
Yeah. Yeah.
because they felt, okay, we need to become this now.
Sure.
Versus it's staying your core values.
Yeah.
And then, you can have complementary type business, but you got to keep that focus. And I think over the years, and that was the struggling point that was going on when I came on, was, okay, we're growing, we've grown, we want to go to the next level, but how do we do it keeping those core values in place?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it starts with, we got a great group of people. We've got employees been with the company 20 plus years.
Wow.
We do a quarterly newsletter.
Yeah.
And on each quarter we give work anniversaries.
Yeah.
And so for the third quarter, it was pretty impressive to go down the list.
Yeah.
18, 15, 13, 12,
That's
11,
awesome.
10.
Wow.
And so that shows the environment that we provide.
Yeah.
Because that's the other part of it, is you want to take care of your customers, but you also have to take care of your employees.
Absolutely.
And you want to have that good work environment. And, we do a lot of things. We bring lunches twice a week.
We've been there for lunches one day. You guys had it was like Taco Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
And we ended up, we were meeting with Bill and Amy and stuff. We ended up hanging out. You guys have a phenomenal, it's an old cigar factory.
Old cigar factory, yeah.
Phenomenal facility.
Awesome.
And so we kind of hung out a little bit afterwards and
Part of the team.
Yeah, but
Right.
that culture is really important, and which has also led you guys to your community involvement,
Absolutely,
obviously, right?
Yep.
So Bill, who you mentioned earlier, was kind of the one that made the introduction to both organizations. Bill and I met each other probably 10, 12 years ago through a mutual fraternity connection. We both are members of the same fraternity. He went to Iowa State, I went to University of South Florida.
Okay.
And so, but we're part of the same national network of the fraternity. And we met through a mutual friend. And at the time, we just kind of were just getting to know each other, on a social level, not realizing it could potentially lead to something. And he had reached out and said, we want to do something in the community, and we think Habitat might be a good fit. So, so talk about that piece of your culture about giving back to the community. Obviously, Habitat's a big part of that, but I'm sure there's other nonprofits and organizations you guys are plugged into. But maybe talk a little bit about why that's so important to the company.
Yeah, it really is. It's something that we had talked about, and then it just came to a point where we were sitting in one of our executive management meetings, and Bill and I were talking, going back and forth, going over different topics, and we said, we want to start doing something to give back. And this conversation we'd had internally with managers and employees, and so we kind of started going down kind of a list of companies and what we want to do and how we wanted to do it. And Bill had mentioned Habitat, and when you look at kind of what we do, how we do it, and what you guys do, like right away, I'm like, that seems like the perfect relationship, because so many of our employees, technicians, people in the office, we take care of people's problems all the time. And so, we want to, again, we keep going back to, our big thing are smiley faces, make people happy, take care of them. And so we said, what a great opportunity to take the skill set that a lot of our people have, and at the same time use it as a team building activity that, we get, because we have our people in the office, we have our techs in the field, but a lot of times they don't actually spend time together. And so this was an opportunity where we'll, when we do a house, we say, I don't care if they're in North Carolina, South Carolina, we've had people come from California because they want to be part of it. And they want to be like, hey, I participated in this.
That's so awesome.
And so, so not only is it from the financial aspect, but we wanted to have a hands-on and kind of do both.
Yeah.
And so, we talked about it, and we kind of talked through the company with some of our key managers, and looked at it from the different aspect of, look, this is a great team building opportunity. And so we basically gave it the green light, and it couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
And I know we've tried to expand and, like I said, use us in some different jobs. And again, it helps be that we're helping someone, but at the same time, it's helping our company by employees that typically might not spend an afternoon or multiple afternoons or a day together to get that bonding there.
Well, you mentioned the CVS partnership. What I thought was interesting, the first time we built a home with you guys a number of years ago, CVS executives came into town and built on the house with you guys, which again is completely outside. I mean, here's a business transaction relationship, right, between MaintenX and CVS that has now probably in an indirect way impacted it so much, because now you guys are out, shoveling dirt together. And doing something.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty neat to see you guys use the community give back component to bring in your partners to help with something like that.
Yeah, we mentioned to some of our top customers, and then even companies. We've had our banker out, we've had our CPA out.
Oh, that's cool.
We just say, hey, this is what we're doing. Do you want to be part of it?
Yeah.
And so you've got all these various different relationships, business relationships, and if you want to do something to help back your community, and so it's been kind of neat to see, because people are taking time, and everyone's busy, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so for them to take time out to help a good cause, but be there with us, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
So Morgan, I don't know if you were with us when we built the first house with MaintenX. It was in the Dansville community of Largo.
Yep.
We built 6
Part of
homes
our
in a
6.
row.
Yeah.
And I remember afterwards when we sat down with your team for feedback, they were like, you guys didn't give us enough hard stuff to do. and the skilled employees that you guys have said, we want to do more.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the next year, we literally handed the plans over to you guys, and you guys built the house.
Yeah.
I mean, we coordinated subs and that kind of thing, and supplies, but there were a lot of things that we typically use subcontractors and professionals for that you guys, you have an HVAC crew, you have an electrical crew, whatever that looks like. You guys came in and did all that work, which at the end of the day saved a significant amount of money for Habitat by being able to partner in that way. So that was a lot of fun to do something like that where your employees are able to use their skills to give back in the community.
Yeah, it really was, because it was funny. You set the schedule.
Yeah.
And so we filled all the time slots.
Yep.
And so when we first started getting out there, the feedback was, this is good.
Yeah.
But again, the culture we've created, they're like, we could do this, and really streamline and blah, 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 blah. And so it was pretty cool to see, because it wasn't like, hey, just going out. They looked at it because, again, what they do all the time is we're doing this, but it can be done better.
Sure.
And so that's what led us to go back to you to say, hey, would you be open to us coming and doing more to help out? And again, it just goes to the character and the background of so many of our people that, again, your company's only as good as your people.
Yeah.
And so when we did the next project, that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Well, and I think right now we're building our 6th home with you guys, and one that was kind of outside the norm. The owner Pat had kind of committed to say, hey, we're going to do another home this year, and so we're building our 6th, and I'm assuming in 2022 we'll do our 7th. But that partnership has been phenomenal, and I know our team really enjoys working with you guys because you all go all out with it. I mean, you really, the staff comes out. We have no problem getting volunteers out on the site from MaintenX, and you guys have just done a phenomenal job partnering with us. So we've really appreciated that.
Yeah,
So thank
and
you.
that's a nod to your culture. Absolutely. To be able to have that opportunity, not all businesses have that. So to keep that in mind, and even like we talked about earlier, coming into that sustainable formalization and professionalization, but keeping that culture and those core values in mind is huge. And it's awesome to see that.
Yeah, it was funny. So I remember when we did the first house, Amy would send out the schedule. And so she came to me and she goes, here, I said, no, let's give it to the employees, let them go, and then I'll backfill whatever needs to be backfilled. And I think within 2 weeks, she's like, we filled all the spots. And I'm like, what?
That's pretty neat.
And it was. So she goes, I can reach and we can get you in a couple spots. But again, it just showed that everyone wanted to do something. It wasn't like, okay, the company's doing this, we're forcing you or whatever.
Sure.
It just showed their good nature and heart that they want to get out and everyone wanted to participate in.
Yeah.
Especially when I found out that we had employees in other states that asked, can I come in?
Can I come in?
Yeah.
And so we flew them in,
Wow.
put them up so they could be part of it.
Wow.
So awesome.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty neat, pretty amazing. Says a lot about the company.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
now after 5+ homes, working on the 6th, what sticks out? Like what's a mission moment or two that really kind of sticks out to you as kind of just bringing it all together for you?
Well, like I said, we utilize, as I mentioned, as a team building.
Yeah.
And you probably noticed that some of the dedications, we brought more people involved, managers. But when we go through the process, it really starts, we usually have our holiday party.
Yeah.
And whoever that recipient is going to be, that homeowner, we like to invite them along with yourself.
Yeah.
And so it gives a chance for all employees to see. And then when you go out and you're working on the house, and a lot of times that homeowner's there, and you see their family and friends, and it's about a community, and the community come together to help them build and put that all together.
Yeah.
And so just to see the cohesiveness and the caring from various people, plus all your regular vendors and subs that used to come out.
Sure.
Right.
And it kind of takes me back to, I guess, how long ago it was, where that's what happened. The community would come together to build houses.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that people caring.
Yeah.
And, nowadays you hear people hung up on, selfishness or this and that. You hear all that stuff. But it shows there's still a lot of good in people, and that
for
they
sure.
want to help and provide for other people. And to me, it's just seeing a group of people come together and build a beautiful house.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
That's so
And
awesome.
you mentioned your Christmas party. It's the only Christmas party I go to where I walk away with an $80,000 check. It's really, I mean, it's.
We need more of those.
I know. But you guys know how to put together an amazing, just gathering for your
Yeah.
employees. So I've been to a number of your Christmas parties over the last few years, and as we kind of kick off our build for the next year, and I'm always blown away. It's like you guys always outdo yourselves year after year. And I know, and I'll give Amy a little shout out, who's on your team, who does a lot of the planning for that.
Yeah.
She's been a phenomenal person for us to work with.
Absolutely.
Our staff loves working with her. She's so responsive,
She is.
and just represents MaintenX so well. But you guys, every year you go all out. So the Christmas party coming up better be a good one this year.
Oh, it is. It always is. So, because of our size, and again,
Yeah.
we can't. Unfortunately, we can't bring everyone in.
Yeah.
We try, but again, it's just that family feeling.
Yeah.
And then, because it's just not the employees, they can bring their spouse, their significant other, their
Their kids, yeah.
And we want it to be a fun event.
Sure.
You know, again, it's, you work, there's stress, there's, everyone has things going in their personal life, and then
Yeah.
you get to work, and there's timelines and deadlines, and you name it. So it's a chance to get everyone to come together and just celebrate everything we've done in that year.
Yeah.
And again, it's about family, and spending time with people that you care about, because really at work, you probably spend more time with people you work with than your actual true family.
Oh yeah. We experience that here at Habitat. So, well, as we wrap up, Brett, thank you again for everything
Thank you.
that you do for Habitat. We are just extremely thankful to MaintenX for the continued partnership. So we look forward to keeping that thing moving. So I know Morgan wants to ask you a question as we wrap up.
My burning question.
Her burning question, but again, thank you seriously for
Thank
everything.
you. Our pleasure.
Awesome.
So awesome. I think, and I'm going to jump back into that really quick. I think it's so awesome that the homeowner that's going to be sponsored by MaintenX is at that family gathering, because that's just another family who is part of the MaintenX family now. I've
Right.
seen so many of those homeowners at their dedication be so excited to see your team come out. They know all of their names. They've
Yeah.
worked alongside them. It's so awesome to see. So I just wanted to say that's awesome.
Thank you.
So we typically wrap up with asking a question to our guest about what home means to them.
Home, it's kind of funny. When I think of home, it's kind of the family dream, right?
Mhm.
That when you're young, you're coming up, when you get your first car, that's your first like freedom, right? You have a car, you can go on your own, you're away from your parents.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, when you think of your first home, that's the first real like asset, first thing you really own. And that's the family dream,
Mhm.
because I don't want to say you're matured or you're an older person, but it's one of those things that people I think strive to get. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people in our country that don't get that opportunity.
Sure.
And so what Habitat stands for and what you guys do is phenomenal. Like, it's to see the looks in these people's faces and the tears, and it's brought me to tears a couple times.
Yeah.
And so when you say what's the American dream, it's owning your home. It's where you and your family can go to that you can say is yours, and then you can make it beautiful and add on and do everything. So I guess to answer your question, it's the American dream.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Brett, thanks again for being with us today. We appreciate everything.
My pleasure, and again, you guys keep doing what you're doing, and we'll there to be a partner for a long, long time.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank
Love to
you.
hear that.
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Well, that was so awesome. I'm so glad that Brett was able to join us. MaintenX is such an amazing partner.
They do so much to give back and to ensure that their culture is so much more than just kind of a 9 to 5 or
Yeah.
a place you work, right?
Right.
So it's phenomenal to hear, Brett with his leadership, how much the company has grown, and obviously that when you have a business like that grows significantly in the community, it's going to employ more people, it's going to impact the community more,
Right.
And Habitat is a direct result of that. So
Yeah.
so proud of that partnership with them.
And it was so cool, like you mentioned, to see that similarity between us and with them, especially with our growth under your leadership, and that sustainability that's been built, and the culture that we are committed to growing at Habitat is very similar to the culture at MaintenX. which is it's really cool to see.
When he started saying, 7 years, I was like, man, sounds like me. Because, you've been in enough meetings with me that I kind of say the same thing over and over again. So, so you kind of know how it is, right? But no, it's just a phenomenal partner,
Yeah.
and the home that they're currently sponsoring, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're set to wrap that up in November, right before the holidays.
Yep, kind of around the corner.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's, I was actually doing the math the other day, Morgan. We're on pace to build 70 homes in 2021. Isn't that crazy?
That
70
is
homes.
insane.
Yeah, yeah. But that is only because of all the amazing people that
Absolutely.
continue to partner with Habitat. Whether they're volunteers, donors, or families that come through the program, the folks that shop at our restore and donate to our restore, it takes the entire community coming together to make it happen. So on behalf of Habitat, we want to thank everyone for being a part of the Habitat family, and we want to thank you for tuning in today. Morgan, tell everybody how they can get involved.
You can head over to our website at habitatpwp.org to get involved in any of those ways that Mike just mentioned. So whether it's volunteering, shopping the restore, getting involved with our Advocacy Ambassadors program, which just launched recently, if you're interested in kind of getting into that conversation about affordable housing and the crisis that we're currently in, there are so many ways that you can get involved, and we invite you to do so. So head over to the website, habitatpwp.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in for episode 23 of the Habicast, and we look forward to seeing you next time around. Thank you all.